There we are. Right, we should be on. Okie dokie. Yeah, so we're just going to come around to the bench. Yeah, and you should be able to see we got that spoon in the vise. Right, what's today's live stream? Well, I'll start off by welcoming you all to the Lovespoon workshop again. As you can see, we've got a lovespoon in the vise, all marked out. And this is a bespoke spoon, so that is going to be the focus of this live stream, is showing you how we actually carve a bespoke lovespoon. It's a piece of oak. Now I've had a look at it and I've had a feel of it as well, and it feels like it's quite a hard piece of wood. I'm going to take one of the blocks out of there, 2 seconds. So yeah, this isn't going to be a straightforward demonstration. It is quite a hard piece of wood that we're going to be carving. But the idea is to give you a bit of an insight into how we go about carving a bespoke spoon. Now, there's a number of ways that you can sort of organise it. You can carve from top to bottom. You can carve from bottom to top. I think that's what I'll sort of demonstrate for you all today, is carving from bottom to top. And you can basically do however you want to. If you want to sort of jump around, there's no sort of set rule or reg in how you organise your carving. Generally what I do, if you've got a tricky carving, so for instance I was carving a lovespoon the other day with a book on it, and that's a tricky little carving to do. So what I would generally do is to go straight to the most complicated carving first. I know when you're sort of learning to carve, it's easy to think, all right, I'm confident that I can do certain parts. So for instance, I'm starting on the twist. You may be confident doing, the twist on the stem like this. It's easy to sort of fall into the trap of doing the easiest bits first and leaving the bits that you're less confident about, leave them until last. But I would actually advise doing it the other way around. If there's a carving you're not sure about, tackle it first, because if you do make a mistake, if you do get it wrong and you feel that you're not happy with it, and you do sort of need to abandon a piece and start again, you don't waste the time. Nothing's wasted, because you're learning all the time that you're carving, you're learning. But yeah, those are just a few thoughts on the organisation of your carving. But other than that, if you can have some sort of structure, it can give you a bit of a framework that you're working within. As I said, this is a piece of oak that we're carving, and oak is probably the wood that we're using the most. It's popular at the moment. What we found over the years, though, timbers goes in fashion, with different furnitures, different ideas. In interior design, it'll change as the years go by, so we've used all sorts over the years. In terms of sourcing it, you can get it from old furniture and old buildings. And as you all know, wood carving, we love what we're doing, we enjoy doing what we do, and with the lovespoon you get the opportunity to carve all sorts of different things and do all sorts of different spoons. So, as you can see us going along now, we're just starting to do our stop cuts. I've marked out the bottom of the heart there, and we've marked out the top of the twist there, and we've carved down the twist there. You can see we use a paper drawing, so we actually stick, for a lot of our bespoke spoons now, we find the easiest method for doing them is to actually stick the paper onto the wood itself and then cut it all out. And what's nice by doing it this way, you start off where it's all white like this, and as you sort of do your depth and your detail in the carving, let's just slip in the vise a little bit, as you do your depth and your detail on the carving, it sort of reveals this beautiful colour and character of the grain. Now the hope is that we'll get through a lot of this bespoke lovespoon. This was a request that came in about three weeks or so ago, so we've designed it all out. It's worth noting as well that there'll be several hours of work that's gone into getting the love spoon to this stage. One of the most time-consuming parts of the process is to actually develop a design, because you have to get a design that works. And it has to be, for ourselves, we like strength in the design, so that takes a long time to sort of think of the best way for organising the pattern and keeping that strength in it. Yeah, then having that sort of, what's the word? Getting the design right, really, because we like to make sure, you know, our design sort of makes sense. And in that, we sort of, you know, there's certain things where, for instance, we got our swans, they're on the water. So generally the water is a bit, excuse the tapping, the water's generally, you don't usually put the water at the top and the sky at the bottom and things like that. It doesn't, you know, it has to sort of make sense as a design. So when you are designing your love spoon, one thing we'd sort of suggest is have a little think about how you're going to organise your design, because it has to make sense and it has to sort of flow in the right way. Again, it's all open to opinion. There's no right or wrong. It's all subjective, but we would sort of have an idea. If you've got a, put it this way, if you've got a bird flying in the sky, you generally don't put a bird flying in the sky below an animal that's running on the ground. You do it the other way around. So that's just the point that we're getting at. So straight away, we've got the bottom shape to our heart, and we've got the start, we've got the bottom of the twist. The reason I haven't done the top is because I'll have to turn it round in the vise to do it. Other little pointers then you may notice, I sit down to carve. These are some of the basics we've gone over in numerous videos. Dad, he stands to carve, I sit to carve. Again, there's no right or wrong, it's what suits yourself, what works for you. And in terms of tools and methods, again, it's what suits you as the carver, what you find best, that's the way to go. So we're just getting a little bit of depth to our carving and shaping this twist. And it is a tough old piece of wood, this one. We've got a good gouge that we're using to get a lot of this shape done. And hopefully you will start to see this bespoke spoon taking shape. I'm not sure how far we'll actually get in the live stream. Hopefully I'll keep going until we've actually done all of the carving. Once the spoon is carved, then there's still a few hours work that we'll spend on actually finishing the love spoon. So you've got the sanding and the shellacking. And again, that's open to opinion. I like to sand the spoons because I like to give it a rounded off finish and a nice sort of shape to it. No rules or regs. If you prefer to leave it off the gouge, leave the gouge marks in. That's absolutely fine. There we are. And we're just going to check. We're just checking that we've got a nice smooth finish. Because ideally, I don't want to be working on that for much longer. Another time, I will do a demonstration with a different piece of wood. And it might be useful then to come back and compare it. It's not to say as well, this is just it's a particularly hard piece of oak. And that's not to say that all oak is particularly hard. It's just to say that it can be. I'm just going to check something because there's a message just come up. Area